Don Clark is there for us at CES with some gadgets. And Don, before we just get into the specifics of them, what is this theory of we want what we want, when we want it, and they have to be mobile?
Well, I think a lot of it is just that there's so many gadgets, and we're so used to them now. There's a whole generation that has grown up with this technology, and they're just not going to accept things that are just clunky, that don't look right, that aren't mobile, that don't have good software, that it's easy to use. And I think that's part of the theme. There was really no overriding technology theme, but it's more just that consumers are just getting more demanding, more particular about what they want.
And one of the products that you're going to show us right now is the Whim One watch, and this is really cool because it runs apps. It almost looks like some of the phones that a lot of us carry around, but it actually is a watch, and you wear it on your wrist.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a little dingus that runs apps, and I think that's the interesting part of it. We don't even know what this is going to be good for, really. I mean, they have little apps, a few little apps already. You know, the kind of normal clock and timing things you'd kind of expect, but just they're unleashing developers, like 2,600 developers are just going to start writing apps for this thing. So we don't actually even know what this is going to mean, but it has this little kind of cube thing that you can pop in and out of your wrist, and you get information out of it with your smartphone. So there's a smartphone app to work with it. So it's kind of a sign of the times.
Yeah, looking at the video we're seeing here, you could get different time zones. You can get, it looked like a Starbucks locator it had, and you could read your social media. I mean, Spencer, would you wear a watch like that?
No, it's funny because it just reminds me that the cell phone is really making watches unnecessary.
Right.
And now watches are sort of fighting back with cell phone type technology.
Yeah, that's interesting. So we'll have to fight it out as to whether or not we'll carry a phone, watch, or both coming up. But also we want to move on to the pocket-sized HD projector you're going to show us. The product is called Shine by Velocity Micro Ink. Tell us about that.
Well, basically everybody's trying to get this image they have on their screen and show it to other people. And they have had these things called pico projectors for a while, but they haven't had really good image quality. So this is one of these, the next step, trying to improve the real quality of the image so that you take out your smartphone, plug in a cable to this thing, and suddenly you're beaming this image on any flat surface. And apparently it's a lot better than prior models of that image quality.
How much does that cost, Don?
I haven't got it in front of me, but I think it's on the order of $299, something like that.
Oh, that's not bad.
Actually, I think here it's $429 in your piece. Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna have to help me with the pricing. I had too many items to deal with.
That's okay. You just wait a while. The price will come down anyway, right? So we're going to move on. A lot of people, of course, are talking about TVs out of CES. It's every year there seems to be a new feature where it's 3D or something else. But of course, we all know these products are getting thinner and thinner. You're talking today about a Samsung Super OLED 55-inch TV, as thin as glass, as you say. Tell us about this.
Well, basically, this is a technology called OLEDs, which has been around, organic light-emitting diodes, which has been talked about for 10 years. I think I wrote a feature about it 10 years ago. It's taken a long time to really perfect, and it's been mostly in small places like smartphone screens. And this is a really step up. Both Samsung and LG at this show are showing 55-inch displays that are pretty amazingly cool. I mean, it's not only thin, but the image quality is totally different. It doesn't need a separate light source. It emits light by itself, and the image quality is really startling. One of the things, though, is it's going to come in at a very high price point. None of the companies are actually talking about the price, but the one analyst I know who's been talking about it at Display Search said they're thinking $8,000 a pop. So that's not for the faint of heart.
No, certainly not. But of course, if you do want to eliminate that blur of the tennis ball hitting the line at Wimbledon, I guess that's one of the features they say it'll do. And who doesn't want that, really, when you're watching tennis?
I'm going to go out and buy it right now.
All right, I mean, these features, it's amazing, the features. And, we've talked a lot this week about CES and how the companies are really trying to differentiate themselves, because at the end of the day, the TVs look a lot alike. So it's really in the capabilities that's going to set them apart and get somebody to pay that $8,000 or whatever it is price tag.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next one. This one's for the kids, and anyone who has kids and may have a iPad knows that you need to protect it. So they've child-proofed the iPad for the kids. How'd they do it?
Well, basically, it looks to me like they basically wrapped it in a big beach ball. It's like a big rubber inflatable thing, and it's much about sort of holding it up. You can kind of flip it over. It's a cube, actually. You can flip it over on its back, and the kids can kind of lean over it and tap it, or you can put it on its side and it kind of leans there, sort of like a little bit of like a TV. So I think it's actually as much about kind of positioning and holding the device as much as protection of it.
Yeah, that's important.
I think that might backfire.
Why?
Because if they see it's in this like bouncy ball thing, they might just start throwing it around the room.
That's true.
Well, you know, in the film, I don't know if you kids saw it, but they actually were bouncing it. It looks like, you know, and they're pretty sturdy, those iPads. So.
Yeah, I mean, we just see here they're taking it out of sort of the contraption it's in, the beach ball-like contraption. But it is interesting because you know, my son actually dropped my husband's iPad and it cracked the side of it. I think over the holidays. So you really do have to be careful, and you know, they do get frustrated sometimes and drop them, especially if they're little. So I could see this actually taking off, but that's just me. But we've saved the best for last, apparently, Don, according to what you tell us coming out of CES, an HD camera that flies, kind of like your own drone, right?
Yeah, this company Parrot out of France has actually talked about this for a couple years now and had an initial product, but it's a quadricopter, they call it. It's like 4 spinning rotors, and this thing flies like really flies. And the video is pretty startling of it, and it's kind of you control it with a smartphone, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. But they've made it so that they've improved the stability, and it's got a front-facing HD camera. So what they're thinking about is not only can you watch sort of like a pilot's eye view and just put it around, but you're going to also record clips of these things, and people are going to be like swapping videos of them where they fly these things all around. So it's kind of an interesting kind of social flying concept.
Wow, we just were seeing some video of it. That's good. So you're actually controlling that from your handheld device?
Yeah, exactly. It basically, there's an app that puts controls on the touch screen, and you're touching the sort of controls on the screen and controlling it.
That's good. What do you think about that? Yeah.
I like
Did you get that?
That's very new age. I mean, well, you know, airplanes you would fly when you were a kid. This is the new version of that.
That's right. Now, Don, quickly, when can we expect these to be available to consumers? Generally,
they're all sort of different sliding dates.
Okay.
You know, in our story today, we listed the date specifically. I would think in the case of the Parrot device, I think it's later in this quarter. And some of the devices nobody's saying exactly. For example, the Android phone, they're just kind of waiting, I think, till they get a critical mass of apps before they have a release date.